Okay, so in the sagittal plane, you typically want a midline slice where you can see the spinal canal the best. In the coronal plane, I like angling with the spinal canal and spinal cord, but then covering the bodies at a bare minimum. So I'm going to use this slice for now. We are planning a sagittal, so after I found my money slices, I'm going to drop my FOV in the sagittal plane right on the posterior longitudinal ligament of L3. You count up from L5 for 3. Right here, this is the promontory angle right here, which not only separates the abdominal cavity from the pelvic cavity, but also separates the lumbar spine from the sacrum. You can see that I centered right there. Now I go over to my coronal plane. I'm going to angle with an average because we do have that little bit of a curvature right here, an average of the spinal canal and spinal cord there. Now I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to do coverage. I can maybe add one on this side just to be sure. I'm covered on that side because the spine curves up and to the left. Oops, did not mean to do that. There we go. Now I need to check again because I moved it. Looks good to me. This looks good. Check my TR. It is a T2, so we typically want it anywhere between 2 and 8,000. So I'm going to do one acquisition right there. I'm in TR range. This looks good. Let's run that. Now notice that these two are linked. That means this one automatically copies that one. However, I do want to go in here and just make sure everything looks good and that my TR is in range. T1 range is typically 350 to 750. So you can see that I'm here, but I have 3 by 8, meaning I have 24 slices worth of 24 slices worth of TR, and I only have 17 slices prescribed. So really, I can kind of up that and go to 9 by 2 for 18 slices worth of TR when we have 17 slices. So that saves us a little bit of time. I don't know if you noticed that time drop right there, but that looks good. Now we can throw it in auto scan. Now this next one should copy as well because of that chain link. I'm just coming in to check my TR. 1 times 17 is a perfect 17. This is as short as it could possibly get, and this is in T2 range. This looks good. I'm going to save that. Now we're going to move on to the slab over here. Again, we want to find our money slices. Here, I actually like using the discs more than the spinal canal personally. So this is going to be my new money slice for the axials. And over here, we still have that midline slice, which looks great. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait that extra 15 seconds for my sagittal T2 to come up, and I'll plan off of that. I could get started because this is a great sagittal localizer, but I'm just gonna wait because it's a couple seconds. There we go, got that T2 up. Now I'm going to select series. Notice that I click the black square, that is select series. I will select my sagittal T2, and that is much better than my localizer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop my slices kind of right behind this third disc from the bottom. What is this? 5, 4, 3. So L3, L4 disc. I'll drop it right there. And typically I will not, before actually we're going to angle. I like to angle before coverage. So I'll kind of angle with the general L spine right there. And in that coronal plane, I'll give it a slight angle as well. And then finally we do coverage. I'll cover all of S1 just to ensure that we cover this disc right here. And then I'll cover half of T12, so L5, 4, 3, 2, 1, half of T12. This looks good to me. Let's check out our TR. 2 times 24 is 48 slices, and we have 47 slices, so that means we can add one without affecting our time. It's called a free slice. Move that down a little bit. We are in T2 range, 2,000 to 8,000, give or take. This looks good, reasonable scan time. We're gonna move on. Now this one's different. We can't copy, typically, all those sagittals are all sagittals, so we can copy each other, but the axials are not the same. Here, let's find our money slices again. We have the discs here, looks great. Over here, I'm going to select series and bring up that T2 yet again. Okay, so for this one, it's different. This is called MSMA, known as multi-slice, multi-angle. We're gonna drop it in the 1, 2, 3 discs up. You're going to drop it right on that posterior longitudinal ligament, which courses down the back of the vertebral bodies and discs. I'm going to drop it right there again, and you can see that we have 3 stacks. So we're going to angle right here with that disc, right there. We're going to angle right here with this disc as well. We're going to kind of center that, angle with it as well. And we're going to do the same with this one down here. There we go. We're going to come over here and we're going to angle a little bit. Nothing drastic. And sometimes you may have to recenter them. So in this case, you can kind of see that I'm going to have to pull that one over and this one over a little bit. But when you move them, you do have to revisit in the sagittal plane as well. So make sure that I still cover what I need. Okay. And the reason why we center back here and not right here is because we have this overlap in stacks, this slice overlap back here, and that causes something known as crosstalk artifact. So we essentially center on the posterior longitudinal ligament to move that artifact posterior, and not so that it doesn't go right through the spinal canal and nerve fibers and what we're looking at. Okay, so this looks good to me. T2, we're in T2 range. 1 by 18, we have 3 stacks of 6 slices each, so we have 18 slices total. TR is optimized, that's going to be a short scan. Now, a couple things. We're going to scroll through our images to make sure that they look good, that there isn't any artifact. Looks good. So, just a few things. You can see that posterior longitudinal ligament back here, connecting all the vertebral discs in the back, intervertebral discs in the back, and the back of the vertebral bodies. Now, coursing along the front, connecting those as well. I believe the posterior longitudinal ligament only connects the discs, whereas the anterior longitudinal ligament connects the bodies and the discs anteriorly, so that's coursing along this way. You have the sacral promontory, this protrusion right here on the anterior aspect of the sacrum, and together with L5 they form the promontory angle right there, which can be distinguished and help distinguish L5 from S1. In here, right around T12, L1, right there, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right up here. You have the conus medullaris, where the spinal cord essentially narrows and tapers, and then inferior to that you have the cauda equina, horse's tail, which is essentially a ton of individual nerve fibers coursing all the way down. And the last one courses all the way down and anchors on the coccyx, known as the filum terminale. We also have the thecal sac, which terminates right in here around S2, S3. That contains CSF. You could see that right there. It's essentially like a sac that resides within the spinal canal and is what holds CSF and whatnot. Back here you can see the spinous processes. You have a supraspinous ligament coursing across the back of all of these. You have ligamentum teres, ligamentum flava right in here. These are obviously intervertebral discs and many more. If you scroll laterally, you can see those zygapophyseal joints, where essentially the facet joints of adjacent vertebrae articulate right there, right there. You can also see these transverse foramina, or they may be intervertebral foramina right here, not transverse foramina. And yeah.